And joining us now is the host of the Rubin Report, best-selling author Dave Rubin. Welcome in, Dave.
Good to be with you, Bianca. I want to know who is the forensic cocaine expert. How do you get that job?
I don't know. It's a good question, and someone's got to do it. I mean, I don't know, but it's just what's wild too is now they're saying, as you just
Finally,
heard, James,
something that Hunter is actually qualified to do.
Exactly. I don't know what it pays though. That's the question. It may not be a very lucrative position. It might be, government's position there. They're pretty, within the books there. Let's talk about the fact though. Now they're saying we won't know who this is. How would we know who brought cocaine into one of the most secure facilities ever? But wow, boy. This video of Hunter days later on the 4th celebrating on the patio. This is a more sanitized version. There's a couple other angles. It's something though, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, there's a certain energy about him that seems not too distant from when somebody has done a little something, so to speak. Look, we can't diagnose that third hand, obviously, but the guy, we know he was a crack smoker, and as he said, he was looking for Parmesan cheese out of the carpet when he ran out of crack. So is it somewhat likely, or is it at least worthy of suspicion that it could be his? And the fact that so quickly, within days, our government, the agencies are suddenly like, oh, we're just not going to be able to figure this thing out. I mean, I don't understand. James Rosen obviously is a great reporter. I'd love to know a little bit more on why the agency is saying, or the Secret Service there is saying, if you have a dime bag or some sort of bag, somebody touched that thing unless they were walking around with gloves. Why are fingerprints not applicable here? And again, this thing with the cameras and everything, like, I don't know. It seems very odd to me that within 2 or 3 days of this thing, suddenly they're all writing stories like we're just never going to know. I mean, something stinks in Cheese Town, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. And, the media, CNN particularly, they were joking about it. They think it's really funny that we have cocaine in the West Wing. This is their back and forth here, Dave.
I would like to know blow by blow who was responsible for this.
Too soon.
There's no too soon on this. No one was injured, as far as we know. And it's an illicit drug at the White House. Why can't you actually have a bit of fun with it?
I don't believe in fun.
He doesn't believe in fun. Okay, well, he's not fun. We know that. But, I mean, it's an illicit drug. No one was hurt. But, the president's son, an addict, GOP investigating millions of dollars sent to Hunter by foreign adversaries, coke in the West Wing. Am I missing a punchline, Dave?
No, well, the interesting thing is, look, Bianca, you and I are making a couple of jokes, and it's fairly obvious that making some jokes about this is important because otherwise it would be too obvious if we just looked at this the other way. Let's say this was a Trump presidency right now, and Donald Trump Jr. had been accused of smoking crack on, actually there were pictures of him smoking crack and driving 176 down a road and everything else. And then suddenly, magically, cocaine showed up at the White House. The same people who were cracking jokes about it there would be telling you that not only is this proof that, Donald Trump Jr. is on cocaine, but that this is another reason that Trump himself should be impeached. So it's the asymmetry that we see in virtually everything related to the media when it comes to the Democrats. That's the frustrating part. It's not the occasional joke here and there because we're doing that ourselves.
Right.
But of course they're going to run cover for him. That's the entire modus operandi of CNN is to run cover for this incompetent administration, whether it's on the Ukraine war or whether it's on the cocaine in the West Wing.
There you go. There you have it. It's too soon. Well, they'll decide when it's not too soon, apparently, too. They're also the barometer of when we can joke about things. Hey, Dave, I want to get your readout on this. I'm sure you've been following this situation in Philadelphia. An accused gunman charged with killing 5 people. One of the victims, 15 years old, we learned yesterday. 2 children were shot, recovering. It is just horrific. We hear reports the suspect, Kim Brady Carricker, I think we have some pictures and headlines here, is a BLM activist. Told police he carried out the attack Monday, allegedly, to clean up the neighborhood. Now, photos of him surfaced. Some he is in men's clothing, some in women's clothing. Yesterday, he's arraigned on 34 counts. The DA, Larry Krasner, Soros-funded, comes out for a news conference with speakers. These are the charges. You think we'd hear about the suspect? No. In a weird, strange of events, take a listen. It is now speakers talking about a trans community that is under attack.
The suspect or the shooter has not identified themselves as trans. They have only identified themselves as male. But the language that is spewed out by the conservative press is violent and is dangerous and is targeting trans women of color.
Okay, so I don't really know what's happening. A person's charged with murdering 5 people, but somehow conservative and the media are the ones pushing violence, Dave. This is crazy.
It's just incredible, but it's just obvious. You know, what these people have done is they've decided that somehow trans people, even if whether this person's trans or not or whatever, the perceived idea that this person might be trans is more important than the 5 dead people. There should be outrage about this story in terms of how this person, say, got the gun, what their ideology was, what were they doing online, how were they on psychotropic drugs or prescription medication or any of those things. We could talk about all of those things and why people do these things and everything else. But suddenly to make it political, and this is what they do with everything, if you now question this person who was dressing like a man and dressing like a woman and who knows what they actually identified as or anything else. But you can see, because they keep the trans ideology at the top of that hierarchy of importance, suddenly the real outrage here is that conservatives are going after trans women. It's so patently absurd, and it must be called out at every turn. The people that we should be angry at are the people that did this shooting. It's this guy specifically, and people like him.
Yeah, trans women and trans women of color. They added the racial component there. It's just really, really disgusting, and the victims' families have to be horrified as well. Real quickly, we're almost out of time. Meta launched Threads last night. Forbes saying it's a Twitter killer. I know you sat down with Elon a few months ago. I'm sure he's not concerned. I'd like to get your thoughts if you're going to go on Threads, and you know, your thoughts on a cage fight here. I'm sure your money's on Musk.
Yeah, as far as the cage fight, my money's on Musk, even though he's about 20 years older and he's got to, you know, definitely get in a bit more shape. And apparently Zuckerberg's been training quite extensively. On the Threads thing, look, I don't know anyone that wants another Twitter. And the idea that you would follow Mark Zuckerberg, who was running Facebook, that has been more censorious, perhaps even than Google itself and YouTube, than anyone else. I mean, we know that they were working with the government. He admitted it, Zuckerberg, on Rogan's show, that they were working with the government to silence people during COVID, on top of all the shadow bans and the people that get deleted and suspended and everything else. So the idea that now you're going to willfully follow this guy who created Facebook that everyone's sick of onto his new Twitter clone to be further censored, I got other things to do, lady.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. A
Yeah.
lot on our docket here, and Threads is not one of them as of yet. All right, Dave Rubin, always great to see you. See you back here next week, sir.
Good seeing you, Bianca.
All right, until then, take good care.